So in case you didn't know, I've been having my hair braided for a good part of a month. This is actually what it really looks like. Don't I look like a rock star? Well, if I don't, on this Tuesday, I'm going to rock your world. What's going on with your big dog? And it is an amazing Tuesday. Gotta say it one more time for the people in the back. It is Taco Tuesday. We may not eat tacos every Tuesday, but it definitely is a vibe right now. Speaking of rock and vibe, I know one thing you're going to be able to rock to is this new Rogue tier list, something that a lot of players can relate to. That's right, I decided to add another tier list to our rotation. Sometimes players want to know what is the best rogue deck to play in a particular format. This is going to be post not only Synchro Storm, but Burst of Destiny. So now that we all got that rocked out, let's just roll to the tier list so I can further explain to you what goes where. Alright, so here we are with the Rogue tier list. I am extremely excited to share with you what are going to be the top Rogue strategies, all the way down to, oh no, what are you doing, baby? But there is one thing I want to clear off before we get started. So this Rogue tier list is based off of post Burst of Destiny and of course Legendary Duelist Synchro Storm. Is that the correct? Yeah, that's the correct name. For a second, almost forgot. The next thing I want to say is that I couldn't include every single rogue deck, so what I did was round up some of the most popular and best rogue decks to make a tier list. I genuinely think that almost every single one of these strategies can compete at some capacity, at the very least to a local level, but if we are going to be subjective and pick a rogue strategy that would set us up the best to win, then here is the tier list that will help you along the way. With that being said, I separated today's tier list into 5 different categories, with top rogue being creme de la crop. These are the strategies that are best served for competing inside of almost any given event, and I strongly suggest that if you are picking up a rogue deck, you genuinely look at these first. From there, we have the rogue strategies that are really good. These strategies are almost just as good as the top rogue. The only thing that separates them is that top rogue strategies have something that can really do well against the meta, while really good are just really good decks. The third category is exactly what it says. It takes a really good pilot to be able to play these particular rogue decks. These decks in other players' hands can really struggle, but with the right player, oh boy, this can go undefeated. After that, these are the strategies that take a ton of effort. These are the strategies that, unless you really like the deck, you probably should steer away from them. And then lastly, of course, is, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Right now is not the time to play those rogue decks. With that being said, I think that ABC is a strategy that takes a really good pilot. ABC seems straightforward. You summon A, B, and C, you summon Dragon Buster, and then you get to disrupt your opponent, but there are actually tricky nuances with the ABC strategy that separates you from the actual ABC enthusiast. With that being said, ABC is a really good Yu-Gi-Oh deck, even with the loss of Union Carrier. I think that if you are an ABC enthusiast, you're in a pretty decent spot right now. Adamantipator is, oh man, oh yeah, I gotta put it as at top rogue. Adamantipator is the rocks, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. I genuinely feel that Adamantipator is underrepresented. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but I'm just gonna go ahead with it. That would easily put Adamantipator in the rogue status, but it genuinely is a really good strategy. If you want to see my take on Adamantipator, you're in luck. I just so happen to have a deck profile. But the reason why Adamantipator is so good is because it puts your opponent in a really risky situation where they have to waste hand traps on your Adamantipator monsters to excavate, and then it can pop off with some really cool combos. Apollousa Bow of the Goddess is something that this deck can make extremely well, but even some of the synchro monsters like Adamantipator, Risen Dragite, the water synchro monster, is amazing in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Being able to stop some of those important spell cards like Tri-Brigade Revolt, Triple Tactics Talent, and cards like that. Moving forward, I felt that Altergeist was a top rogue strategy, and the reason was that it had everything going for it, the things that you didn't want to face. The first thing is that Altergeist did not need spell cards. Inside of a format where Imperial Order was king, well, not only are Altergeist monsters spellcasters, you can play cards like Secret Village of Spellcasters and Imperial Order inside of the main deck. You could also play Anti-Spell Fragrance, and this deck wouldn't miss a beat. Also, in an effect monster heavy format where Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler is king, Well, Altergeist can not only play Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler, it can gain the effects of Infinite Impermanence, or it can make full use of it by summoning Multi-Faker, and it has Altergeist Protocol, which prevents your monsters from being negated by your opponent's cards, and on top of that is another form of monster negation. With those still being really important aspects of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, I still think that Altergeist is a top rogue Yu-Gi-Oh deck. You should watch out for this strategy, as it can literally take so many of the top meta decks by storm. Yang Zing was a strategy that we talked about in yesterday's video, and we said that it had tons of potential. But what does tons of potential come with? Well, it comes with a lot of effort. Yang Zing's got huge support in Sword Soul Blackout, being able to destroy one of your worm monsters to destroy two of your opponent's cards and trigger your Yang Zing effects, and then cards like Needle Sealing and Torrential Tribute are still really good in this format. But what makes this deck a lot of effort? Well, the problem is your Yang Zing monsters don't do anything unless you can get multiples on your side of the field. That, and you do have to spend a lot of money for Yang Zings to be ultra competitive. You're going to need the new Destiny Hero Phoenix Destroyer, as well as 3 copies of your Red Eyes, well, I say Red Eyes Fusion, your Destiny Fusion, and on top of that, some premier trap cards. And sometimes what makes the strategy a lot of effort isn't necessarily how the deck is played or what needs to be played, it's its price tag. A lot of players that play Rogue are on a budget, and sometimes dropping that exorbitant amount of money for a strategy is not necessarily worth it, but more on that later, as there are a couple of other strategies that just may fit the bill. Another reason why Yang Zings will be a lot of effort is the exact same reason why this deck is good. Burning Abyss plays very similar to Yang Zings. It is a trap-based deck that can abuse both Needle Sealing and Torrential Tribute. The only difference is that Burning Abyss has 1 card options to be able to make Exceed plays, where Yang Zings doesn't necessarily have that. Burning Abyss also has better boss monsters with Divine Arsenal AA Zeus being able to be made with ease. Then there's also Utopic Draco Future that can be made with 2 Dantes. Boy, that's just amazing, because not only do you get a negation, you get to trigger your Dante's effect. And of course, you still have Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal. Burning Abyss is also more adept into this current format, seeing that it plays extremely well with links, being able to make the Nightmare monsters and discard Burning Abyss monsters to gain the effect, and also being able to make Access Code Talker to swing for a huge amount of damage and Boral Sword to go for game. B Troopers, oh man, I want to put them at top rogue, but that's just me being overzealous for B Troopers. I do think that it's a really good rogue deck. Like seriously, if there was an in-betweener, this definitely is B Troopers, as this deck is bananas. Some players don't like the new support from Burst of Destiny, but what you fail to realize is that the new support from Burst of Destiny is not Warrock support. I'm going to try my best to not be corny and say that this is the bee's knees, but seriously, this deck can fly and may sting against the opponent when they lose to it. Blue Eyes White Dragon, oh man, is this a top rogue Yu-Gi-Oh deck? Unfortunately, Blue Eyes players, you're gonna have to wait for a little bit more support, because this is easily an, oh no, what are you doing, baby? I do think that the level 9 Synchro in Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon does have its perks, but right now, Blue Eyes is a deck that we should not consider playing right now, at least until we get more support. On the contrary, Cyber Dragon just got a lot better with the Cyber Strike structure deck. And the only reason why I'm saying that is not because of the new cards in Cyber Strike structure deck, is because this deck got a lot cheaper. Cyber Dragon Hertz and Noxter getting reprinted is a godsend, and even Cyber Emergency getting a common print, boy, Cyber Dragon just got a lot better for budget players. The reason why Cyber Dragon is so good right now is because Link monsters are still extremely good. So slam your Cyber Dragon to your side of the field, and any one of those becomes a Chimera Tech Mega Fleet, helping you break boards a little bit easier. And just in case if you can't afford Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, I just so happen to have made a Cyber Dragon deck profile which focuses on not playing Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and still making some pretty devastating boards. Dark Magician is going to be probably in the exact same spot as Blue Eyes. I have to say that Dark Magician is a little bit better than Blue Eyes right now because of the support is better, but right now I feel that there are other rogue decks that you probably should be consider playing. Zombie World is, oh my, Zombie World's top rogue, guys. Zombie World is top rogue, guys. I can't tell you how many times that Zombie World is top rogue. So let's look at some of the top decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Sword Soul is projected to being as one of the best decks, and Tri-Brigade only gets better with the Synchro Storm. Both of these decks really struggle the Zombie World because they need their cards to be not zombie. Drytron can't afford to allow Zombie World to resolve because if a Super Polymerization is to follow, you can fuse their Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and their Herald of Perfection without them being able to respond to it. And how could I forget the Shaddoll matchup? Because Shaddoll is a top tier Yu-Gi-Oh deck. What about him? Super Poly is really interesting because it kind of goes both ways for both strategies, but Doom King Baladrock can prevent Alistair from searching Magical Meltdown, and this deck does not need its extra deck, so Shaddoll Fusion can not be so great. I also have a live duel of this strategy playing against Virtual World, so if you want to see it, go ahead and check it out. And if you want to see a deck profile, be sure to destroy that like button. I haven't done that in so long, and let me know down below in the comment section. Despia is also another really good Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It can mix well with Shaddoll, it can mix well with Invoked, and it's getting a lot of amazing support. Monarch is going to take a ton of effort in order for you to be able to pilot, and the reason why is because Monarch is just a huge brick right now. Now, another unfortunate thing for Monarch is that there's a new archetype coming out in Burst of Destiny that feels like Monarch and Flew Under Ease. Hey Bird, don't you like Flew Under Ease? Flew under these nuts in your mouth. I'm a rock star. But yes, Flew Under Ease is projected just to be a better deck. I wouldn't say that Monarchs are completely terrible, but they are going to take a lot of effort to play. Oh man, I don't even want to talk about it. Eldritch just might be better than Altergeist when it comes to trap strategies. Because not only are these trap cards disruptions, they're also monsters, in case you guys didn't know, and it can play the zombie world strategy. Outlich is just a really good deck right now, just because how Yu-Gi-Oh has slowed down and there's not a lot of Omni negations in Yu-Gi-Oh. Grin Maju, I would have to say it takes a really good pilot because there are mistakes that players can make with the Grin Maju strategy, and a lot of it is involving deck building. Regardless, Grin Maju summoning is as 8,000 attack monster. There are not a lot of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that can deal with that. Infernoid is another strategy that just takes the right pilot. Oh man, Infernoid definitely is plagued by deck building because players want to play a Layer of Darkness, and I'm not going to tell you that that's a bad card. And then there's the non-Layer of Darkness versions that are pretty successful. There's also, do you want to play Reasoning? Do you want to play Monster Gate? Do you want to play the Fire King monster? This is plagued by deck building, so it's going to take a dedicated pilot with the correct build and the correct meta for this card or for this strategy to be able to thrive. Same thing with Lyrilusk. It's going to take the right pilot to play a pure version, but there are a couple of things I want to talk about with Lyrilusk post Synchro Storm. The first thing is that this deck can just play Tri-Brigade Revolt. Like, you can outright just play Tri-Brigade Revolt in here and summon a Charade. You put enough BBWs in graveyard, or should I just say WBs in graveyard, because they're all winged beasts, to be able to just link summon into Charade on your opponent's turn. The next thing is that this deck can consistently make Utopic Future, plus it's SN Blue, which is, it's kind of scary. Earth Machine is another deck that takes the right pilot, guys. Both Machina and Earth Machine definitely take the correct player to know what they're doing for this strategy to be able to strive. And oh man, oh, I'm going to piss off a lot of hero players, but it takes way too much effort to play heroes, and it's not exactly for what you think. I don't think that Heroes is a bad deck. I mean, seriously, it should be in the really good. But have you guys seen hero prices? Oh my God. I actually have a mixed rarity hero core that retails for $600 for sale. And every time that we put it in the claim sale, somebody shows up. We tell them what it retails for. We give them good discounts. And then they disappear. Copium. Heroes unfortunately make the lot of effort just strictly because of its price. I do think that this is a really good deck if you just so happen to have all the pieces. Mech Knight is, I want to say that it's a tweener between it takes a good pilot and a lot of effort, mainly because in Yu-Gi-Oh right now, it isn't summon a whole bunch of cards, it's just control the board. And Mech Knights really take advantage of like combo formats where your opponent has like a million combo cards on the field and you can gain columns. Orcus is definitely a strategy that takes a really good pilot. This deck is actually still fairly good, but not everybody can unlock the potential of Orcus. And then I'm going to have to say the same thing for Paleo. These two players are just really strong with their strategies. And if you know the ins and outs and all of the mechanics, both of these strategies can survive. Phantom Knights is, oh man, there's a really good strategy right here. The reason why is because not only can you play Dragoon, you can also play the new Destiny Hero monster, which does not hurt this deck at all. Being able to have a Phoenix Destroyer to be able to destroy cards on your side of the field and then bring them right back. Also being able to destroy your useless Fog Blades to put them to the graveyard to destroy an opponent's card. Ooh, that's spice. Salamangreat definitely takes a really good pilot in a format where hand traps are very weird. And on top of that, going against some of the established boards where players know where to hit Salamangreats, you're going to have to be on your A game. I would have to say that Sky Striker, oh man, I'm going to go ahead and say Sky Strikers are fairly good, but you do have to know what you're doing, which means it takes a really good pilot. A lot of players are going to be sideboarding, if not mainboarding Imperial Order and sideboarding Anti-Spell Fragrance, so you gotta have to know your outs around that, seeing that your deck is like 90% spells. I'm gonna go ahead and say Speedroids are actually a little bit better than Lyralust from the Legendary Duelist. This strategy actually makes some pretty cracked boards with double Crystalling, and the most important thing about this is that it has follow-up. I think that that's really good about combo decks right now, is that you can make your board, that's crazy and all, but if you don't have follow-up, you crumble. This deck actually has some pretty good follow-up. Kana's really going to hate when I say this, but I feel that Subterrors are going to take a lot of effort. Lightning Storm being a card that players are going to want to play. Also with players pretty hip on how Subterror operates. Floodgates not necessarily being in Subterror's favor. Yes, Summon Limit's pretty good, but if you go second with Summon Limit, and there can be only one is not good right now. Subterror takes a lot of effort to be able to play. Synchron is also another one of those strategies that takes a really good Yu-Gi-Oh pilot. This deck is kind of cracked right now, and there's a Yu-Gi tuber named 037 Wolf. If you guys have not checked out his channel, make sure to check out his channel. I've been keeping up with this man since, I don't know, Master Rule 4 or whatever, and he's been doing Synchrons. He's doing some incredible things with this deck, but I don't think that a lot of players would be able to replicate that success. Thunder Dragon is, I don't want to say it's a lot of effort. I want to say that it's really good. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's really good because the Chaos strategy only gets better with the Battle of Chaos set coming out. But focusing on the right now, that Destiny Hero Fusion monster does wonders for the deck because after you continue to pop off with your combos and use all of the things that gain you advantage, you can finish off with Fusion Destiny to be able to summon your Phoenix Destroyer, which is just worlds better than Dragoon inside of the Thunder Dragon deck. Dino is top rogue, guys. I don't even want to. Dino is top rogue, guys. I have been opened my eyes in Dino. This deck is ridiculously good. So the problem with Dino was that if the opponent hand trapped you at the correct times, like, you know, if you don't have Misk or if you activate Misk in Graveyard and they Ash Blossom you, you're kind of stuck. But Dino is one of the decks that actually got so much better with Crossout Designator. It is ridiculous. On top of that, being able to flip Sword Soul boards face down before they can synchro off with their tuner, being able to just have stronger monsters than Virtual World and Dull, and also just being able to flip all monsters face down. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is still a dog, guys, and this deck can pop off with some serious combos. I'm going to put the Evil Twin Live Twin strategy in really good. I think that they've done fairly good without their Link 4 monster. Post Burst of Destiny, I just don't see what it's going to put them in the top rogue. I could be completely wrong. This could be a solid tier 2 deck that a lot of people are playing, but I'm not seeing the evidence where this strategy will make a jump from the rogue tier all the way to the top tier, meaning that it probably should be deserving in the other tier like tier 2. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and say Penguins are going to take a lot of effort. They did get admirable support. Unfortunately, Burst of Destiny didn't give it everything that it needed, but it did give it a lot of support in the correct direction. And that is all that we have for today's tier list. I really hope you enjoyed. There are so many amazing strategies in Yu-Gi-Oh! That can compete right now. I really hope that this tier list helped you decide on which rogue deck you wanted to pick. And if there's a rogue deck you want me to talk about next time, we'll go ahead and mention it. I'll be sure to include it in the next tier list. Also, if you want to catch more amazing content, go ahead and check out these videos as I'll catch you on the next one.